Now, for more on the Democratic debate action, Associated Press reporter Philip Crowther joins me live from Los Angeles. Hello, Philip.
Hello.
Now, fill us in on the highs and lows of last night's debate.
Well, I don't know whether these are necessarily highs and lows, but let me take you through the chronology, if you will, of the very start of this debate. Remember that this debate happened exactly 24 hours after the impeachment of a U.S. president, one of the most important moments in the recent political history of the United States. So, of course, the first question that was asked to these candidates was about impeachment, precisely what they were going to do to be able to convince Americans to side with them, that the impeachment of President Donald Trump is, in fact, the right thing to do. Now, each candidate out of those 7 did answer that question, not necessarily directly, but that was it when it came to impeachment. Then things moved on to those issues that these Democratic presidential candidates have wanted to talk about for months now, with, of course, the impeachment of President Trump sucking all the oxygen out of the political debate in Washington for months now. So they will be happy with that. That will be the high, if you will, of this debate for those candidates. They were able to have a substantive debate that wasn't all about impeachment or all about the president. But that might also be the low of this debate, because one of the most consequential moments of U.S. political history happened just 24 hours beforehand and was barely mentioned.
Yeah, yes, Phil, and some of the issues where they clashed were on climate change, economic issues here in the U.S., and a few other things that touched on a broader-based concerns of the voters. But who was more convincing?
Well, I would say, first of all, that when it comes to climate change, one of the most important subjects, of course, that there is right now, and one that is particularly important to California voters, there was not a lot of time dedicated to that subject matter. That might very well be a disappointment to a lot of Democratic voters, particularly here in this very important state for the Democratic Party. Now, when it comes to the economy, you saw on stage yesterday something that you've seen over the last 6 debates now. We've had 6 out of 12 altogether. That division within the Democratic Party that we knew existed and has now been personified by some of those candidates on stage. The more progressive part of the political party, the likes of Senator Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren on one side, and then the more moderate side, if you will, with the front runner Joe Biden in the very middle. Now, one of the big subject matters that they've been debating for a long time is healthcare, for example, how big a role the federal government should play in healthcare reform, and that is something where those candidates differ very, very significantly, and of course on the economy as well. But these are tendencies that we already knew existed within the Democratic Party.
And you mentioned Elizabeth Warren, and they had a bit of feud between her and Pete Buttigieg. Did that in any way sway their base supporters?
I don't think so necessarily, but it was certainly the most memorable moment of this 6th and final debate of the year 2019. A clash between 2 candidates who already on the campaign trail have been going after each other a little bit. This is about campaign finance, about whether to accept big dollar donations from very, very rich donors within the Democratic Party or from outside. Pete Buttigieg, the mayor of South Bend, who is going up in those polls steadily, he accepts those donations and, for example, had a big money fundraiser in a wine cave in the Napa Valley very recently. And that is what led to that debate between those 2 candidates. Elizabeth Warren is one of those candidates who says she only wants small donations, exactly the same as Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. So there is one big moment in that debate that was particularly memorable.
All right, Philip, thank you so much. Philip Crowther is a reporter with Associated Press Global Media Services.